Okay guys, welcome to the video, how to get good at soccer in a month. This is going to be a longer video than normal. You know how it works. Get out a pen, get out a paper. We will be taking some notes today. I will definitely be asking you some questions that I would like you to write down in your notebook or on the paper and to write down in the comments. Now again, this is a video for serious players who are serious about growth and improvement and seriously having these ideas embedded into their head. If you're a player who only plays casually or you're not really looking to make, massive growth and improvement, then this video is probably not for you. And I have many other videos that are much shorter. And if you don't want to watch this one because you just aren't as committed, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But for those of you who are committed to your improvement, to your growth, to becoming better players, I highly suggest you watch this video all the way through. And I definitely highly recommend that you take notes while doing this, okay? Guys, actually, for those of you who have been doing a lot of my long videos, I hope by now you have a notebook dedicated just for these videos. If you don't, it would be a good idea to start one so that you have a designated notebook for Simply Soccer long videos or Simply Soccer in-depth lessons or whatever, just so you have it all in one place. Anyway, so we will be covering how to get better at soccer in a month. Now, we've gone over other ways of getting better over time. We've gone over how to get better in a short time, and I want to make this one because a month seems to be the amount of time that most players aren't scared of aiming for, but it's also one that is long enough to where you will actually see improvements if you do certain things. Now, before I move on, I want to, as like a little disclaimer, just mention that you cannot become an amazing soccer player in a month. You can become pretty good. You can improve in certain areas and become pretty good in those areas, as those of you who are doing the 30-day dribbling challenge and who did the 30-day ball control challenge can attest to. But you cannot become a superstar player in a month. Let's not kid ourselves. However, you can build momentum, you can see improvements, and you can start doing things that are going to help you become an amazing player. So although you will not become the next Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi in a month, not even close, but you can make massive strides in a month if you are strategic about it and if you know what you're doing. So that's what this video is going to be about. It's about giving you some ideas that can really help you maximize your results in a month. And I like using a month as kind of a measure of time, as a unit of growth, or a measure of time to where you can grow, because each new month we can reassess and take a look at our goals again and see where we are and then keep moving forward. Remember, if those of you who watched my video on that mentioned progressive goal planning, this is kind of like that. Okay, so let's go over really quickly what we'll be covering. I'm not going to try and make this video too long. I just want to kind of give you the ideas, make sure you understand them, make sure you're answering a few questions that are going to help you understand them and make strategies, and then that's it. So I don't want this to go on super long, but if it does, be aware it's because it's important stuff. So things we'll be covering is the secret ingredient to me to quickly grow over 30 days. This is something that will really maximize your results over 30 days. 2 is focused training. Why you need to be focusing on certain things and not focusing on too many broad things or too many things at once if you want to improve, in a big way in a certain area. And 3 is how to keep going beyond a month and how to keep going on a month-by-month basis. Because after you're finished this month, or after you're finished a challenge, or you're training for a month or whatever, it's not good enough to then just stop. You need to use the momentum you've gained in that month to keep propelling yourself forward, okay? So let's get right into the first one. The first one we're actually going to cover is focused training. Now, focused training, what I mean by that is a lot of players train in a broad way without specific goals. So they'll go outside and train this area and that area, and they'll be like, I need to cover this area and that area. But there's no real strategy involved. They're just kind of like, well, I'm pretty sure I should be training this area, and I'm pretty sure I have to be training this area, and isn't it good to train this area? But there's no real plan in place. You should know why you're training a certain area and why you should be focusing on certain things and why you should map out your training is because one, then it's easier to measure. It's easier to see progress in. So for example, if I'm just going outside and going, yeah, I'll dribble a little bit. Yeah, I'll shoot a little bit. I'm not going to be able to gauge if I'm really getting better because I'm just kind of, not lackadaisy, but just kind of going about just like, yeah, well, as long as I practice, it's fine. And yes, practicing in some capacity is better than not, but you're going to see much more results if you do certain focused training. Next is when you're doing focused training, you want to be focusing, especially if it's in a short amount of time and you're trying to get good at something specifically in a short amount of time, you want it to be focused on things that are relevant to whatever position you're playing or whatever your role is in soccer. So for example, if you're a striker, there are certain parts of your game that you will be focusing on over other parts. For example, a thing that to be focusing on when you're a striker is definitely something like your finishing and shooting. As a striker, most of them are required to score goals. So if your finishing's poor, if your shooting's poor, it's going to be hard to be an effective striker. And there's other things too. You should be specifically and focused on certain skill moves. Some skill moves are going to be more beneficial for you based on in certain positions than they would be in others. For example, I'm a striker. I love moves that can beat a player one-on-one and give me the space I need to shoot. I don't really need to focus on skill, certain other skill moves, but like skill moves like the step over, which will create me that yard of space. The body feint. I love doing the chop as well because it's a great move to have in and around the 18-yard box. But I want to choose things that are very kind of specialized for my position, right? And I'm not just talking about skill moves. I'm talking about any training in general. So you need to have what your position is and what is it you should be focusing. So one thing I want you to write down, if you're writing this down in your journal, is write down whatever position it is you play or list all the positions you play. If you're listing too many positions, just pick one or two. Pick the one or two that you want to focus on, okay? Don't just put, oh, well, I can play center mid, center attacking mid, striker, right back, left back, goalkeeper. I can be the referee at the same time if I want to. No, we need to narrow it down. Pick your two best positions, one preferably, but if you have two, do that. So for me, I would pick striker and maybe center attacking mid. For you, it's going to be something different. Maybe it's the same, but whatever it is. So I want you to list your position down, and that's going to be good because now we know our starting point. Now we know what we're training for, okay? So have that down, and then go over, brainstorm on the sheet of paper right now, what are things that are required of that position you put down? So if you put center mid, what is required of a center mid? What attributes make up a good center mid? What is a center mid asked to do during a game? What are you specifically asked to do by your coaches during a game? Right? So write that down. It's going to be different for each and every one of you, but write down what you are expected to do in your position and what you need to be good at to play your position well. So I'm going to give you a moment to pause the video and write that down, but it's really important that you have that clarity. When it comes to succeeding and achieving goals, clarity is the biggest thing that you need. If you don't have clarity, if you're not clear on the way things are and where you need to go and what you're doing and where you're working from, it's going to be actually almost impossible to achieve what you want to achieve. So put that down, put down what is required of your position, what you need to be good at to play your position well. Okay? So take a moment, pause the video, and write that down. Okay, so I'm assuming you've done that. Okay, so now in front of you, you should have what position you play, your best position or the position you're asked to play by your coaches and all that. You should have down what makes a good player in that position. What are the ingredients that make a good player in your position? And you can get very specific. Like, for example, maybe you don't want to say just center mid. You're a holding midfielder. You play more of a holding role. There's different types of wingers, different types of center mids. So whatever type you are, write that down and write down specifically what a good player in that position looks like. So think of a professional player. So for example, if you are a creative center mid play liker player, a good player maybe to mirror would be a David Silva or a Kevin De Bruyne, something like that. So then you think of those two players or whatever player you've chosen. You can think of like a Coutinho or some other creative midfield player, and you think, what are they good at? Why are they so good? Why is it when I think of this position, they were one of the first names that came up? And then list out their attributes. What are they good at? What is required of them? Why do they thrive in that position? Why do we mention them? Why do they stand out? Write out these ideas, and it's going to give you an idea of what you should now be focusing on, right? So now you have your ideas, you have your position, you have what it is that makes a good player in that position. So now we can focus on getting you better at those things. So I want you now to pick, out of all the things you've written, I don't know how many things you've written, pick 2 to 3 things that you think are the most important in that position. So you may have written out a ton of things. You may have only written out 2 or 3, which is good. You're already there. But circle or underline the 2 to 3 main things you think that are most important in that position, or the 2 to 3 main things you think you need to be working on the most. For example, if you have poor ball control and you're center mid, that's one of the things you need to underline. If you're a winger and your dribbling isn't that good, that's something you need to underline because that's something you need for that position. So underline or circle the 2 to 3 most important things you think in that position. Okay, so I'll give you a second, think for just a couple seconds, think, okay, what's the most important? And go ahead and do that. Okay, so now you have that in your head. So see how we're getting more and more focused? We're kind of narrowing down to what you should be focusing on. So now we've narrowed down to your position that you should be focusing on. We've narrowed down to what the attributes of a good player in that position are. We've made it more specific to maybe what your role in that position is. And now we're down to the point where you've circled 2 to 3 attributes in that position or things that you need to get better at, that you need to be focusing on. So now you have the 2 to 3 things you need to be focusing on in a month to get better, or you need to be focusing on in general. So maybe for your center mid, and you wrote down, what makes up a good center mid or playmaker in my position? Creativity is good. Finding those pockets of space is good. Being able to track back and work hard defensively is very important. Positional sense is good. Creativity, and I think I said that already. Passing is good. Being able to find my teammates' feet, but also being able to play it ahead of them well. Having good ball control is essential. Ball retention is essential. So you can see I'm listing a ton of things, but you're going to pick 2 or 3. And also notice that there are going to be a lot of things that are categorized. It's similar. They're going to be similar. So if they are, you can kind of just combine them into one. So you've now picked the 2 and 3 things. So you can see now we're more focused. Now you have an idea of what it is you're going to be focusing on. Okay? So that's the big thing. Now, for the next month or whenever you decide to do this training, I want you to commit to just focusing mainly. You can do other things, but mainly on these 2 to 3 things you've circled. So if it's ball control, so for example, if you're, again, we'll use the center mid as an example. Let's say you're a center mid and you've circled, okay, I want to work on my ball control. I want to work on my creativity. And let's say you also said, I want to work on, certain skill moves that are good for center mid. Okay. So now you need to devise a plan where you are working on those things mostly every day or as often as you can. We want to focus on those things. Here's the thing when it comes to improvement, guys, you get what you focus on. You get what you focus on. If I want to become good at shooting, but I'm not focusing on my shooting, guess what's going to happen? I won't get better at my shooting. It doesn't matter if I know how to get good at shooting. It doesn't matter if I know more than anyone in the world on how to get better at shooting. If I'm not focusing on actually getting better at shooting and going out and practicing and making schedules for myself and making training sessions for myself and being committed and disciplined, then I won't get better at shooting. It's that simple. And the same it goes for whatever areas you just put down on your piece of paper. Whatever areas you just put down that you circled that you think you need to improve, you are not going to improve in those areas unless you focus on them basically on a day-to-day basis. They need to be on the forefront of your mind. Okay, so I'm going to move on from this because I've already spent about 15 minutes. But here's the thing. You have your 3 things now. You're going to focus on these things. I'm not saying neglect other areas, but you're going to focus. You're going to focus on these things. So I want you to come up with training schedules. I want you to look up drills on the channel. If say dribbling something you're struggling with, look at some of the dribbling drills that I released recently. Maybe your skill moves is something. Take a look at some of the skill videos. Look on YouTube for other videos that explain how to get better at these areas. You now know the 3 areas. You now know the 2 to 3 areas you're going to focus on. Now it's about doing your research. How do I get better at those things? How do I schedule those things? Okay? Next, we're going to go over what I think is the secret ingredient to quick growth over 30 days. So 30 days, in all honesty, is a very short amount of time. I know for some of you, you may think it is a long time, but honestly, what's today? Like the 13th, 14th, 13th. It's going to be next month in the, quickly. It's going to be like you're going to blink and it's going to go by. So here's the thing you need to ask yourself. 30 days from this point, from the time whenever you're listening to this, do you want to be someone who is better because over those 30 days they were committed, disciplined, and worked on themselves and worked on their game? Or do you want to be someone who's looking back 30 days from now and go, wow, I wish I actually had started 30 days ago and worked on this? Because one of my favorite things to think is regardless of whether you do something or not, those 30 days will go by either way. A year will go by either way. Whether you do nothing or you do a lot, a year will go by. Time will keep going by as you decide to not do something or do something. Meaning you might as well do something because regardless of what happens, the time is going by anyway. 30 days from now, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I'll do this some other time, 30 days are going to go by either way. You might as well do something during that time. You might as well work on your improvement. Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. This is not supposed to be a motivational thing. So the secret ingredient to quick growth over 30 days. Now, there's a lot of things if you want to see, real progress in 30 days that you need to be implementing. You're going to need discipline. You're going to need to schedule well. You're going to need to stay on top of things. But one of the things that I've been doing with you guys recently, and there's a big reason I've been doing it, is 30-day challenges. Now, there's more to it than that, but I've been doing 30-day challenges with you guys because I know the benefit of doing them. For a lot of you, and for most people, this is just most people do not consistently work at the things that they need to be working at to improve in any area. It doesn't matter what it is. They're not consciously every single day doing something consistently in order to improve an area. That's why I've been doing 30-day challenges with you, because I want to show you the power of doing something every single day and building that momentum and using that consistency and starting to develop habits and how much better that can make you. I mean, there were many of you during the ball control challenge telling me that, wow, I've improved so much over just 30 days. I've been doing it every day and my touch has been getting better. Like I can control it now. I think I had one player tell me that his coach told him that he came up to him or something and said, wow, how have you done? You've improved so much, or something of that nature. And that was just 30 days. And how did that happen in just 30 days? Well, one, they were focusing on something, ball control. Remember, focus training. They were focusing. But two, is because they were doing it every single day. They were consistent. This is literally the secret ingredient to quick growth over 30 days. You have to be consistent. You have to do it every day. Now, consistency leans and builds into something called momentum. And that is how you're going to improve exponentially, is momentum. Now, momentum can't be built unless you're doing something consistently. They work together. Think of it this way. If you work out for a few weeks, you start building momentum, but what happens if you just stop on the third or fourth week? You lose that momentum. A good analogy I like to use is if you're riding a bike up the hill, you're riding it up the hill, you keep pedaling, you keep pedaling, you keep pedaling, you keep pedaling. What happens if you stop? You roll back down the hill. But if you keep going, you get to that top of the hill and then you can go down the hill and it's a lot easier, right? Well, think of it that way. Once you've done 30 days of something every single day, it gets easier. Once you've done 60 days of something every day, it's even easier. You've built up momentum. You've created a habit to the point where it's not that much of a struggle anymore. That's why there are people who have been working out for years who it's not even an issue for them. They actually enjoy it. For those of you who don't enjoy working out, they enjoy it. There are people who do certain things every single day that you would think were, wow, that's some intense work. That must be difficult. And they enjoy it. They like it. It's easy for them. Why? Because they were consistent, they built momentum, and they created a habit. And doing something for 30 days is going to help you do that. So the secret ingredient to quick growth over 30 days is maintaining consistency. This is such a simple idea that it almost seems like it couldn't be. But you guys need to realize that just because something is simple idea, or something's a simple idea, does not mean it's not powerful. In fact, most of the time, the things that are actually going to help you are the simple ideas. The implementation of the simple ideas. People like to really overcomplicate things and go, well, this or that, or, the shoes I'm wearing, or I don't have a wall, or I don't have a field I can go to. You're overcomplicating it. It's very simple. Very simple. Usually it's much more simple than you're trying to make it. And a lot of the time, trying to overcomplicate something is an excuse or a justification to not go do something. However, you have to realize that this is very simple. If you do something 30 days every single day for a certain amount of time, every single day, you will see massive improvements. And that was proven by the people who actually followed through in the ball control challenge and saw massive growth. That is proven by the people who have been consistent with other areas of their life every single day and have seen massive growth. And that will be true for you if over the next 30 days, you do your focus training. Remember, we've already picked out the 2 to 3 things that you need to be focusing on. If you commit and remain disciplined to doing and working on those things every single day, you will see massive growth. You will get good at soccer in a month. You will get much better at soccer in a month. You will start feeling the effects of consistency and momentum and habitualized behavior. And it can become magical. You'll see growth and things, and you'll be able to do things you didn't know you would be able to do, and all in a short amount of time. And the thing that's great about this, once you hit 30 days and you see the improvements you make in just 30 days, and I'm not promising you God-like results, but you will see improvements. And you will see improvements to the point where you're like, wow, holy crap. And you'll start thinking things like this, because this is what I started thinking when I started doing stuff like this. I would think stuff like this. I would say, wow, I've improved so much over 30 days just by doing it every day. Imagine if I did it for 60 days or 90 days or half a year or a year. And I was just blown away by the amount of potential and possibilities in that thought, because I'm like, whoa, that's how much better I've gotten in this amount of time from just doing it for like 20, 30 minutes every day. You can, of course, do it longer. I'm just using that as an example. Imagine if I kept doing this for 60 days. 90 days, and you just start imagining how much improvement you could bring in your life by doing that. And it's so true. So if you really want to improve and become a good soccer player in a month, in 30 days, I really, really, really recommend, suggest, implore you to set yourself a 30-day challenge. Every single month, at the beginning of the month, I want you to set yourself a challenge. For soccer, for life, whatever it is. I do it for both. But for now, let's focus on your soccer, because this is simply soccer. We'll try and not get too much into life stuff. But I want you to set yourself a challenge every month. You can set more than one. I mean, I'm going to walk over and take a look at what I have for this month, and I'll give you some of them. As an example, I have a sheet every single month of 30-day challenges. Here it is. Okay, so one of them is 30-minute meditation. Of course, where's a soccer one? Let me give you a soccer one. I think I have a different one for soccer. Okay. So yeah. Things like practicing certain moves. So let's say for your focus training, you have 3 skill moves you want to focus on. on your 30-day challenge, make it a challenge to do them every single day. Put a sheet. And if you guys don't know how to do a 30-day challenge, I'll put a link in the description that goes over the ball control one. And in that video, I show you how to do it. I show you how to make the challenge. I show you how to make the sheet of paper that you're going to use to mark every single day you've done it. Okay? So don't worry about that. But do take a look at that. So at the beginning of every month, set yourself a challenge. And so like on here, I have, my 3 moves. So I have my 3 moves selected. I have, let's see, what else am I doing soccer-wise? Working out, obviously. Stretching, I guess, can be considered soccer-wise. Meditation can have some, as a byproduct, have some effect in my performance. But we're not going to get into that today. Ball control routine. Yeah, so I've set these things out to challenge myself every single month, and it's a new one every month. Sometimes I continue a certain one, like the ball control one I've been doing for a while. I mean, we did the ball control challenge a while ago. I'm still doing that. I'm doing certain different things, but I'm still doing ball control in some capacity every single day. So what I want you to do right now is, again, write down in your journal, notebook, pad, paper, whatever, what challenges, or what do you want to challenge yourself with in the next 30 days? What 30-day challenge do you want to do? Now, I know it's the, if you're watching this on the day I release it, it's the middle of the month. So what I want you to do is set a challenge now, a 30-day challenge, and then at the beginning of next month, you'll set another one. Okay, so you'll be doing 2 at the same time, but that's fine, because what you don't want to do is just be like, well, it's not the first of the month right now, so I'll just wait to the first of the month and then set a challenge. No, that's stupid. Set a challenge now. Okay, I mean, if you want, you could set like a 2-week challenge until we get to the beginning of the month, and then do another 30-day challenge on the same thing. But it's simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Just set a 30-day challenge now. It doesn't really matter if you start on the first of the month or not. I like to do that because it's a good point to reflect and see what I want to accomplish in the month. And I highly recommend you do that too, but do it now. So those 3 things, or 2 to 3 areas that we mentioned, you're going to make a 30-day challenge around those 2 to 3 areas. So if it's dribbling, ball control, or whatever else, you're going to challenge yourself to work on those things every single day for the next 30 days. Okay? And just so you're aware, those 2 to 3 things you chose don't have to be necessarily physical. You notice I mentioned things like creativity and things of that nature. Stuff like that will require you to study stuff online, study videos, to watch match footage as well. That's fine. Not everything needs to be a physical training, okay? So that's what I want you to do. And guys, if you do this, like, I know a lot of you are not going to do it. And it's unfortunate, but again, like, the serious players will do it, the non-serious will not. If you're a player who's on the fence about whether you're serious or not, I hope you move on to the side of you are serious and want to see improvements. But if you're serious, I really recommend you do this. If you're someone who's been doing the other challenges on the channel so far, you've probably already seen, small results or even big results from doing them. Now we're going to focus. Now we're really focusing on what it is you need to be getting better at for your position. Focus training mixed in with these 30-day challenges, okay? So I really implore you to do this. Doing these challenges, again, consistency, momentum, habitualized behavior, so important, all right? So I'm noticing we're almost at 30 minutes, so I'm going to move on, I hope. Again, I'm not doing a script. This is all impromptu, off-the-cuff stuff, so I hope that all made sense to you. Okay, so next, how to keep going beyond a month. So I'm going to be very quick with this one because it's actually it's simple. It's not, we're not going to overcomplicate it. So how to keep going beyond a month, and then we'll wrap it up. So obviously this video is about how you can maximize your results in the month. Again, focus training, having that 30-day challenge, consistency, momentum, habitualized behavior, all of that fun stuff. However, the last thing you want to do is build that momentum for a month and then stop. So how do you go beyond a month? Really, it's just in the most basic way, it's a matter of rinse and repeat. In the most basic way, but it's not the whole thing. So let me go beyond that just a little bit. And again, I don't want to spend too much more time because we're already at 30 minutes. Anyway, so how do you go beyond the month? Well, there's a few things you can do, and there's a few videos I'm going to provide for you that can help you with this, because I actually just did a video recently on how to get good at soccer over time. I did a video on how to make this year the best year for you soccer-wise, which was taking the whole year into account. If you haven't watched those two videos, you should. They're long, they're in depth, but they will give you all the information you need on how to just keep getting better and better as the year goes on. So I would take a look at that as well. Anyway, how to keep going beyond the month. So let's say you're at the end of your month of 30 days. You're seeing the momentum. You're seeing the consistency. You're seeing results. You've stuck with it every single day. You're starting to see discipline and momentum in your life and consistency in the areas you're trying to improve. The thing is now, this is a critical point, because 30 days is good, but it's not enough to create a habit. I know they say 21 days creates a habit, but it's more like 66. So, there's many varying studies on this. 21 is the lowest number I've heard, and I've heard, things such as 3 months as well, that it takes to really, of doing something pretty much every day to really develop a habit. So you can't stop at 30 days, obviously. The problem is, I think, is most players do a 30-day challenge, or they have their thing for 30 days. They get to the 30 days and then they go, now what? It's really, really simple. You're now going to reflect and evaluate. And this is why I always like doing it at the beginning of the month, because at the beginning of the month, I can look and go, how did my last month go? How did I do on this habit? How did I do on this habit? Did I accomplish my goals and all that? So at the end of your 30 days, on the 30th day, when you're finished, you're going to sit down, you're going to get out a piece of paper, you can open up Word or some other text file type thing on your computer, and you're going to ask yourself some questions to evaluate how you did and how you can move forward. So you're going to set a new plan. So you're going to get on there and write down what you were doing. So ball control, so the 3 areas you were focusing on. You're going to go how you did, how you felt about them, how the improvements you saw, did it benefit you, all this stuff. You're going to ask yourself some really good questions in order to determine how well you did and where you need to go next. Because remember, when you're trying to move on to the next level or just improve, you need to know where you are now, and you need to know where you want to go, which is your goals, right? So what's your current level? What are your goals? Where do you want to go? Then you make the plan in between to get there. And that's what we're going to do after these 30 days. So to make sure you keep going, after your 30 days, is you're simply going to reflect. So ask yourself, did doing this improve me? Ask yourself, what can I do to make it even better? Ask yourself, there's a bunch of questions. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But just keep asking yourself questions to keep giving yourself more and more specific answers, to keep going deeper and deeper into this. So you'll ask yourself, for example, how much improvement did I make? And let's say you were doing ball control and you were working on specific stuff, and you're like, I've actually seen, and you write down, I've seen great improvements in my touch, my first touch, my confidence on the ball. I've seen myself in matches playing a lot better. I haven't been miscontrolling it. Opponents find it a lot more difficult to get the ball off me, whatever. Then you go on to the next one, the same thing, this is blah, blah, blah. Then you go, how can I improve it? Well, there were certain parts of my ball control that I didn't work on enough. Like the outside of my foot isn't that good for controlling the ball. I need to start focusing on that a little more. Maybe I'm not that good at taking the ball out of the air. I noticed that a few times, so I'm going to start working on that. So you can see what you're doing here. You're going on, what else can be improved? So even if it's on a focused area, so let's say with ball control, you worked on your ball control, but even so, you've noticed that there are certain parts of your ball control that still need work. By asking yourself the questions, you discover what those areas are, and now you can plan for the next month on what to work on. So you go, okay, well, I'm going to, for this next month, start focusing a little more on working on getting the ball out of the air and shielding it and retaining possession. Or maybe for skill moves, you're like, well, I noticed that I'm not that great at, say, this move, and I think it would be great for my position. So maybe I'm going to focus on that this next month. Okay. And then you're going to set yourself another challenge for the next 30 days. And you're going to keep doing this, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. You're going to keep asking yourself, did this benefit me? How can I do it better? What can I do to improve this? What can I do to improve myself? What can I do to improve this area of my game that I need to be focusing on? You need to be constantly asking yourself these questions and evaluating whether what you're doing is, one, benefiting you, and two, what you can do better. Okay? And that's how you have progressive goals. You're always checking in with yourself. You're always aware. You're engaged with what you're doing. You're not passively going around and just going through the motions. You are engaged and you are actively doing it. So you know where you need to improve. You know what the next step is, and you're never confused about what you need to do. So I hope that makes sense. But that's essentially what you do to go beyond a month. And the thing is, guys, you know, something, again, a very simple idea to do in the next 30 days after the initial 30 days to keep going is, if something's working, don't stop doing it. It's like, what's the saying? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Another one is, you know, put all your eggs in one basket. If it's working, double down on it. Like, if you're doing a practice, if you're focusing on certain areas and it's really improving your game, don't stop. Don't think, well, I'm done with that, on to the next thing. Don't stop doing it. If you're working on your ball control and doing certain drills, it's okay to then go on and do more advanced drills the next month. But don't then go, well, my ball control's good, I'm going to stop. I've made this mistake many times. Trust me. Don't want to do this. You break your momentum. And then you have to regain that momentum, which takes time. So don't break your momentum. And the thing is, you keep gaining more and more momentum the longer you go on. Okay? And the fact that you're going to be reflecting and checking in on yourself is going to ensure that you don't plateau. Because you're always going to be asking yourself, what can I improve in? How can I make this better? What can I do? All right? So this has gone on longer than I intended it to. Great. That's always the case with these videos. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. I'm just going to wrap it up now. So basically, remember the 3 areas is focus training. The secret ingredient is doing 30-day challenges and being consistent, building momentum, and building the start of habitualized behavior. And the last one was how to go beyond a month, is basically reflect, rinse, repeat, adjust. Essentially checking in with yourself to make sure what you're doing is actually benefiting you. Again, these are all really simple ideas, guys, but it's the implementation of simple ideas which is really going to help you improve. You don't need to overcomplicate it. I get comments all the time of players trying to overcomplicate a drill or overcomplicate a process. Sometimes you just need to start. Sometimes you just need to dive in and figure it out as you go. Okay? Sometimes you need to do that. Don't overcomplicate it. Some of this is really simple. And sometimes when someone here, and I do this too sometimes I'll hear a simple idea and be like, well, that can't be it. And I'll try and look for more. But no, it's just that. It's that simple. Okay? So keep these ideas in mind. I hope you've taken good notes. Feel free to replay this if you need to. You don't have to do it right away, but whenever you want, come back to this video, review it, download it, whatever. Do what you need to do to get these ideas in your head. Because it's not only that you'll become good at soccer in a month by doing these things. Again, I told you how to do it beyond a month. You can rinse and repeat this. It's very simple. You do this simple thing over and over and over again, you'll see more and more and more results. Okay? So that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. We're almost at 40 minutes. Fantastic. I'm going to have fun editing this one. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening and watching. If you made it all the way to the end, you really, to me at least, have proven that you are serious about your growth in this sport. And I honor you and appreciate you for doing that. But also, you need to appreciate yourself for doing that, because honestly, not a lot of players do. The majority of players will not have gotten to this point. Okay, so really give yourself a pat on the back for that. So make sure you've written good notes and you've answered all the questions, and you've written down the different things, like your 3 areas you're going to focus on and all that. But again, just thanks for sticking with it, guys. Way to go. I know there are actually, I've done you a disservice there, because I know there are a bunch of you who do listen all the way through to these, who take comprehensive notes, and who really do care about becoming better. And to you guys, I say, because you care, because you want to get better, because you're focused on that and your attention is on that, like I mentioned, you will get better. Now it's about implementing. All right. So thank you for watching. Please like and share this. Let any teammates you think who could benefit from this know by sharing it with them. If you are new to Simply Soccer and you made it all the way to this, I mean, dude, good job. To not even be subscribed to me and have listened to this all the way, that's fantastic. Especially if this is my first video by me that you're watching. So, consider subscribing. We have other great content and we release videos every day. So definitely consider subscribing. I am going to put 2 videos up on the screen that I think can help you even further. Again, guys, check the videos in the description because there are things that play off this video, things like the how to get better over time and other great tools that you can use. And for those of you who are serious, again, you want to keep learning and not leaving your success up to chance. All right, guys, thank you. I'm going to get to work editing this video and getting it out to all of you, and I'll see you on the next video.